Hey up everyone, what's going on and welcome back to York City, where there is a massive title fight this year. 4 teams separated by 2 points, 2 other teams not that far behind. This year, the Premier League's gotten interesting again. So as I just said, the top of this table is genuinely fascinating. I feel like this is the most I've ever been engrossed in the top of the Premier League in this save. I've got to be honest, we've been in the title fight the last couple of years, but it's only been sort of Manchester United, Tottenham have been there, Arsenal have been there at times, but that's been about it. There's not been that many other contenders for the title. This year's interesting. You've got that top 4 separated by 2 points, and then Manchester City and Chelsea right behind, really. Realistically, only sort of 1 win away from being in that picture as well. Could be a 6-horse race, this one. Could be. I do fully expect teams to drop away, as they always do in these kind of situations, but right now it's fascinating. I particularly love also the fight for 7th. You'd argue all the teams down to Everton, I mean, don't get me wrong, these teams down here aren't far off either, but Everton have been up there in recent years. Newcastle had a fantastic start. A little bit iffy of late. West Brom were 7th last year, I think, something like that. Tottenham, terrible start this year. Southampton been there or thereabouts in recent years, and Sheffield United are enjoying a very good start this year in particular as well. Not so much recent years, but this year they've decided to be quite good. We just beat them, but yes. And speaking of, obviously, recent Premier League matches, you can see possibly, or at the very least deduce, where the problems have been for us this year. 3 losses, yes, we'll get to those. But the top goal scorer, currently. Top assister, currently. Does our goalkeeper feature in the top 3 clean sheets? No, he does not. And that is where the problem is. You look at the games we played this year. We've had 3 Premier League clean sheets. Stoke, Everton, and Tottenham since we last met. Of course, you haven't seen that one yet. Every other game we've conceded at least 1 goal. Man United very late on. Brighton got a second one. No, that wasn't that late. But yeah, Man United got one late on. Sheffield United recently got one very late on as well. Consolation goals for the pair of them. But whilst we seem to be able to just score goals at will, except against West Ham, which was the first game after last episode, yeah, trash Barcelona 5-0, lose to West Ham 1-0. I'll let the stats speak for themselves. I'll also let the stats speak for themselves in the other game we lost. Yeah, 14 shots on target, they had 5, they won 2-1, because of course they did. But otherwise, it's been pretty good going, except for a slightly odd 1-1 draw at Club Brugge as well. Similar. I mean, basically, copy and paste the West Ham game. But we beat Tottenham in the league, we beat Newcastle in the league, Southampton. It's been a lot of those sort of teams that have been there, sort of in that chasing pack, the European spot. Sheffield United beaten as well. In fact, I think pretty much all 4 of those are in that chasing pack for the 7th spot. But we lost to Wolves and West Ham. Not great. Beat Club Brugge in the other fixture though, and Portsmouth in the Carabao Cup. We don't really care about that. Atlanta 7-0. I have avoided one particular match in that run there. Southampton 6-4. Bizarrely even game on paper in terms of total shots on target and what have you, but I was informed after this was the highest scoring match for York in terms of total goals in the game since Hereford in the Vanarama National North 11 years ago. The first season till now, we've not had a game that outscored 5-3 in the league. Until now. There we are though. But Premier League action today, Arsenal and Manchester City. Tomorrow will be Barcelona and the West Brom league game. We did get them in the Carabao Cup quarter-final. Don't care about it. But West Brom, of course, a pretty handy side these days. Recently sold their star striker, of course, to Chelsea. But they still got quite a few handy players. There's a few that I considered to bring in. Ultimately, I felt that they didn't quite cut the grade. That's not the phrase. Make the grade. Cut the something. But Mourinho's Arsenal, who are currently top, of course, quite interestingly, I was suggested to go attacking against them, so I will go attacking against them. So when you look at the team as a whole, you do have to be slightly asterisked about certain players' form levels. Obviously, a lot of these players kind of play in the rotated games against weaker sides like Atalanta, the Portsmouth games. It's weird I just banded Atalanta with Portsmouth. Atalanta were 4th in Serie A last year, and their media prediction is 7th in that division. The fact they've been blown away by us is a little bit weird, but still. So some of these guys' ratings are a little bit affected by that. James Grimes is one of those. Kovalev is one of those in a sense, but his average rating for the season, 7.8. Ridiculous. Castillo, though, is the better player right now, and he is doing quite well this year. So he starts with Azarto and Rick in the back line with Fiore on the other side, who hasn't really set the world alight just yet, but he does have to settle into this team. We'll never understand his complete win-back naturality. Not a phrase. Christian in goal, of course, Vidarson and Seri, Ramirez, Vidal and Cantoro and Godoy up front. Now, you may wonder, of course, about Christian's position in goal and my decision to sell Baxter, of course. Bear in mind that Tottenham are where they are in their table. Just factor that in. That's where we sold him to. Christian looks like this, by the way, now. He is good. What I particularly enjoy right now is nobody, really, apart from the goalkeeper, under 4 stars, and even that's barely. Of course, that's the thing with the side that we have right now is it's not really necessary to make big transfers in because we've got the players already. Realise Fiore doesn't have a face yet. Proper one. We'll work on that. Because our great players are already here. They're just good players. Now, fantastically, that recent Wolves loss is a little bit of a memory, faded memory by now, because 7-0 against Atalanta, that's a spur for the team to go into this particular match against Arsenal. Although, of course, Premier League matches after European games can be a bit problematic. The bizarre thing about the West Ham one, though, is more the fact that it was a home match against Barcelona that happened. Now, they've got a Medina in their back line. It's not ours. Should just make that clarify. You will see the name Medina as their number 4. It's not our Medina. Well, they do have Sancho and still have Guendouzi, actually. Lorenzo's here 3. Now, that star striker appears to be a number 6. I don't know why. Must be a choice. Dani Olmo, though, whips it in. And not quite. They're Arsenal the ones who acquired Dani Olmo. I'm fairly certain we played them recently. But I can't remember if Olmo was in their team then. Cantoro comes forward. This highlight has continued. He's bounced it off a player and it's gone out. And bizarrely, they do have a number 9, but he's on this formation as their DM. Sorry, I need to get to the bottom of this. He's their number 9. He's their number 6. What is going on at Arsenal? Ramirez, Vidal, not quite. Azarte's on the edge of the box. Should really be in it. Sarri gets this one. Pings it back out to Ramirez again. Can whip it in. Players are still there. Godoy's hit one defender, and I think that's the highlight. I can only presume either Fernando wants the number 9 or Lorenzo wants the number 6, and they've just had to fill in the other number. As a result, that's hit a couple of players. Got back out again for another corner. Fantastic news. Although I have been mugged off by this before. Cantoro runs clear from that corner, and I'm just waiting for this highlight to stop. Another free kick for Ramirez on this side is almost carbon copy of one we had earlier. Sarri gets onto the end of the ball. The highlight's gone exactly the same way. Sarri's on the ball. Guendouzi's tackled him, though. He hasn't put it back out to Ramirez this time. That's not good news. Lorenzo sort of split the gap. Push him wide, foul him. No, whatever. I really want to see what happened in 3D there, because the defence there, I'm going to say, was slightly questionable. It's Castillo, actually, the left-back, who doesn't do anything to stop Lorenzo going past him. We've had issues with left-backs not putting tackles in. He's apprehensive as well. I know someone who isn't apprehensive about tackling, the 17 attributed tackler Kovalev, and we can't be losing a 4th game. Of course, oh, hello, we've just got, sorry, this highlight started with a corner. I was about to start talking about something else, but Rick has done the equaliser. Have I changed my set pieces back to target the left side of the defender again? Now that Azarte's back in the side. I don't know if I have, but Rick's got the height as well. He can do pretty much exactly the same job on that right-hand side, and he has done there. What I was about to say was, of course, if Arsenal win, they do go quite significantly clear of ourselves. But the way the sort of the top of the table is poised, I don't think it's the end of the world. They could always lose to another one with big sides. What was quite interesting is there was one point where pretty much all the sides of the top had lost one game, and they were all to another side in the top 6. It was sort of a weird rock, paper, scissors situation where everyone has sort of beaten one other side. Ramirez comes forward. Except for Tottenham, who just lost to all of them. Godoy forward as well. Godoy, not quite. Now I'm looking at a couple of players. Here. I'm looking for Vidal, not having a great one. Cantoro's just ticked up to a 6.5, but Vidal on a 6.4 means either we go 2 up top. I think Godoy's just run into Vidal. Castillo on this left hand side charges towards the box. Cantoro is there, and I did just say he ticked up to a 6.5. He'll be up a little bit higher now. We've turned it around. Thank God for that, I have to say. Being 5 points behind Arsenal did worry me, no matter what I said. I mean, it would have been clawable back, but I saw that. It almost looked like he headed the ball after he actually headed the ball there. Sort of hit him in the face, and then he went after. And you see, beating Arsenal actually takes us ahead of them. But Vidal. See, the fact we've gone up now, Taco's not on the bench, which does obviously make that a little bit awkward. Is what do you do now? Do you bring a third midfielder in? Do you go slightly further back? Or do you bring a player like Vidalson on? Do you move Vidalson forward? I think that's the most sensible thing to do right now. It's just like for like. Grimes on. Move Vidalson forward because he can do that role perfectly fine. Grimes can come on. They brought Stockbridge on, who has not punished me. Thank you, England player. Stockbridge is one of those England players who's like right on the verge of playing when people drop out. Right, so Carpentier comes on the left-hand side. Cantoro on the right is slightly problematic because there's not really anyone to come in for him. Like I said, I can move Godoy out there. I could put Silva up front. I'm also looking at Ivan Seri on a yellow card here. Castillo, I think Castillo's the change. He's looking apprehensive. He's the only one not really listening. Cantoro gets the ball off whoever that was there. Godoy, probably not going to get on the end of this. No. Medina pumps it forward again. Fiore decides to head it straight to a player in yellow. And does do well there, though, to get that ball. Gives it to another player in yellow. Do you know which side you're playing? You're a Tottenham player. You should know to hate Arsenal. Is the fact that we're playing in red confusing you? You just see red and think, Arsenal. Sancho's equalised. You do realise I am your England manager, Sancho. Azata, I mean, we've got quite a few decent wingers these days, Sancho, so think about that next time you want to ruin our day. You know, Billy Clark's better than you, right? That's somewhat soured, that. Not going to get aggressive with them, but it's irritating. I think there's a few players I probably could do with a little bit of a rest. And as my assistant manager says that right there, we've got to see how everyone else reacts. So West Brom hold Chelsea, of course, the team they sold Lubanovic, I forgot what his name was now. So Chelsea don't capitalise, they are in 6th, but still. Man City trash Southampton, so we play them next. They're going to be in good spirits. By the way, I adore when it tells me that Adam Wright's finally scored, as if he's a striker. This bizarre combination of being central midfielder and striker. And Manchester United do capitalise as well. So City right in it now. Liverpool still to come. Sorry, I just got really distracted by something that appeared on the news feed at the top. It said something about Edin Dzeko. I've just checked. He's retired. Ages ago. Didn't do anything after he retired, seemingly. But the reason why it appeared on the news feed is because there's an Edin Dzeko arena where Wolfsburg now play. I love those icon, legend, arena things that just come out of nowhere. Completely irrelevant to what's going on in today's episode, but you can't ignore things like that. Did notice David Curvo was player of the weekend. Curvo is bloody ridiculous. Just because it's happened now, I'll let you know, we've drawn Luton in the FA Cup 3rd round. They're currently in League 1, so that's not going to feature in an episode probably. So the next episode after the Barcelona-West Brom situation will be the one in January. I think we've got Liverpool and Tottenham back-to-back in January, so that'll probably be the one afterwards. So Zidane's Manchester City now. We are favourites for this one too. And as you saw on that page, Victor Vidal has taken up a 1 to 2 day knock, which means technically he's okay. I think we'll leave him on the bench for today. And, oh, actually, Courage, well, it might actually be sensible to have Teko around as an option there. If we want to go to a defensive midfielder, that would work. Otherwise, everyone seems to be nice and raring and fit to go for this one. Fiore on a 6.6 last 5. We'll give Xiaonan the start and see what happens. Like I say, he's not necessarily been lighting it up since his massive move from Tottenham. Rather amusingly, they are playing Adam Wright up front. I do kind of enjoy it when the game bamboozles a team with a player like that. Yourselves and, I obviously realise that he's a midfielder, not a striker. But because he has capability there, the AI doesn't really understand that. It just goes, oh, he's our best player in that. He's our best player and he can play there. He's not a striker. It's like when they shove Nathan Watson into the midfield. Yes, he can do it, but he's obviously not. It's not obviously his best position. They should 100% be playing Chris Tipple up front. I mean, Adam Wright's probably going to score a hat-trick here, after all that. Cantoro's nipped on that wayward pass. I say wayward, it was directly to the player, but it's the player who's fallen asleep. Seri capitalises as a result. And I think it was their left-back who just didn't realise Cantoro was on his shoulder here. Although he was looking directly at Cantoro when the pass was made, so I don't think he actually realised the pass was coming towards him. Sorry, though. Just a simple finish. Smashes it past Diogo Costa in their goal, I think it is. Yes, it is. Ramirez, on this particular one, doesn't quite find Godoy, gives it to Peralta instead, who doesn't get it to Ricardo Costa. Grimes punts it forward. Godoy does get on the end of this one. Whether he was onside or not, I don't quite know. He hits the goalkeeper anyway. I think he was onside. A potential foot injury to Xiaonan. That's unfortunate. So theoretically, our one change that potentially, on paper, weakened the side is now undone. Seri scored an absolute banger as I was trying to talk through that. So beginning of the season, we sort of talked about how Seri wasn't quite firing yet. He's firing now. Good God. I mean, this would not happen to the current Manchester City side, that's for certain. What I particularly love is they've got Garcia on the bench. It's obviously not Eric, but I just love that fact that even 11 years on, there's still a Garcia on the bench. Fiore, Seri, gives it out to Cantoro now. There's a switch happening. Fiore's actually managed to find himself in a good position himself, though. Does he get it in? He does manage to get it in, but it is cleared out again. Seri will restart this move, although that's lovely worked. Not quite. Azarta, don't mess this one up. Oh, Christian, what? Absolutely unstoppable. I'm pretty certain this is stoppable. If you continue to run there, Christian, I'm pretty certain that's stoppable. Does the goalkeeper know he can go outside the box, just not handle it? I'm fairly certain that Rick's taken the blame for that. Yeah, he's on a 6.1. Yeah, his header was a little bit short, but Christian does have legs, although you wouldn't know it from seeing that. And now he's on a 6.1. I'm probably going to have to consider taking him off, which is fantastic. Cantoro's taken a somewhat problematic knock, and Vidata's not playing particularly well, so I'm going to have to keep Rick out there. Teko comes on, as does Silva up front. Godoy moves out to the right, as basically the only other player who can play there. If we weren't winning, I would have gone for a more offensive formation change, but because we are winning, I feel like the defensive midfielder makes more sense than bringing on sort of a two-striker system, or even the 4-3-3, have all three strikers on. I've not seen this Aldo before. He's come on in central defence. Functional defender. Really solid functional defence. Like a proper Italian defender. As I look at Aldo, for the remainder of that game, no other highlights occurred. I'm going to say good win. Probably should have been more convincing scoreline, but it's a win against Manchester City. We'll 100% take that, no matter how it's happened. Man United beat Tottenham as well. Arsenal lose to Newcastle, though. Like I say, Newcastle are pretty handy this year, although there's a 6-point gap now. 4 weeks for Shalnan, potentially. Cantoro's out for a day, that's fine. He'll be back for the next one. And as I said a couple of times in this episode already, Barcelona and West Brom next time out. I'll see you for both of those. Until then, ta-ra!